Hold your head up high. Always reach for that sliver of light. Be grateful for each day, 'cause being together makes us better. All being together makes us better. Oh, oh, we're stronger this way. Oh, oh, together we grow stronger every day. Fill your cup with love. Always lead from the center of your heart. Lift each other up, 'cause being together makes us better. All being together makes us better. Oh, oh, we're stronger this way. Oh, oh, together we grow stronger every day. Reach out now, take someone's hand. Appreciate everything we have, 'cause being together makes us better. Being together makes us better. Oh, oh, we're stronger this way. Oh, oh, together we grow stronger. Together we grow stronger every day. Hold your head up high. Always reach for that sliver of light. Be grateful for each day, 'cause being together makes us better. All being together makes us better. Oh, oh, we're stronger this way. Oh, oh, together we grow stronger every day. Fill your cup with love. Always lead from the center of your heart. Lift each other up, 'cause being together makes us better. All being together makes us better. Oh, oh, we're stronger this way. Oh, oh, together we grow stronger every day. Reach out now, take someone's hand. Appreciate everything we have, 'cause being together makes us better. Being together makes us better. Oh, oh, we're stronger this way. Oh, oh, together we grow stronger. Together we grow stronger every day.
We are so glad you have joined us today for the SCIC's 31st Annual Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Interfaith and Intercultural Celebration, Dare to Dream. My name is Carol Winder, and as the current president of South Coast Interfaith Council, I wish all in attendance a very warm welcome. I was a young child when Dr. King led a bus boycott in Montgomery, Alabama, and a teenager when he was murdered. Although the television had only a few stations back then, I remember seeing footage of the work he was doing and of the motel where he was murdered. That was over 50 years ago, and though there has been progress, there is still much to do to accomplish his dream. I'd like to share some of his inspiring and thought-provoking words that stand out to me at this time. Referring to Jesus' parable of the Good Samaritan, 2 church leaders passed by a man who had been beaten and robbed and was lying on the roadside. As they separately passed by him, Dr. King posed a thought that may have gone through their mind. Quote, "If I stop to help this man, what will happen to me?" But the Good Samaritan reversed the question. "If I do not stop to help this man, what will happen to him?" End quote. Continuing with more of his quotes, I will just begin with a quote and go through all the quotes and end with the end quote at that point. Quote, "Never, never be afraid to do what is right, especially if the well-being of a person or animal is at stake. Society's punishments are small compared to the wounds we inflict on our soul when we look the other way. We may have all come on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. The silence of good people is more dangerous than the brutality of the bad people. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Everyone has the power for greatness, not for fame, but greatness, because greatness is determined by service." End quote. We are each responsible for the choices we make. As messages are shared today in music and word, let us each listen for ways that we, individually, as well as working with others, can bring Dr. King's dream closer to reality. Now we'll be blessed to hear from the South Coast Interfaith Council's Executive Director, Milya Islam Majid.
Thank you so much, Carol. As Carol said, my name is Milya Islam Majid, and I serve as the Executive Director of the South Coast Interfaith Council. And on behalf of the Council, I welcome you as well to this, our 31st annual Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Interfaith and Intercultural Celebration. Now, we have a program today that's filled with inspirational words, with music, with dance, poetry, youth reflections, a word recognition, and prayer, all with the intent to celebrate the legacy of the incredible man that we know as Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. As we unfold this program today, dare to dream with us, to create the kind of world that Dr. King envisioned, to develop the kind of community that he hoped for, to build the kind of humanity that he dreamed of, one that is defined by honoring and celebrating one another in all of our diversity. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Dr. Charles Dorsey to offer the invocation.
Hello, friends. My name is Charles Dorsey. I bring you greetings on behalf of Wayne Chaney and the entire family of the Antioch Church of Long Beach. We're so excited to be a part of this interfaith gathering and to offer this opening prayer. Would you pray with me? God, we thank you. We thank you for allowing us all to be in the same space once again. We thank you because using technology and tools, we can connect across various geographies and in different spaces and in different times, just to share the same heart. Lord, the heart that you've placed inside of our beloved Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, who dared to have a dream. And today, as we're assembled in this particular space. We are realizing what happens when communities of people, transcending race and religion and culture, decide to come together and dare to dream. And so, God, on today, we represent this wonderful, diverse population of faith traditions. And we collectively dare to dream once again. We dare to dream that our countries can come together and live at peace with one another. We dare to dream that our kids can receive better education regardless of where they stay. We dare to believe that we can feed the hungry. We dare to believe that we can fight against injustice in all of its shapes and sizes and forms. And we dare to believe that if every one of us accepts our assignment and contributes love and support and resource and energy and time to the things that continue to plague our society, we dare to believe that things will get better. Thank you for the dream once articulated, and thank you for those who have carried it up to this point. Now each of us has the responsibility to do the same, and we start once again as a part of this gathering. Bless it, allow it to go fluidly, allow us to communicate a message of hope and inspiration, and we once again keep our eyes focused on you and the love that you give us to commonly share. It's in the name of God that I pray. And all who were assembled said amen and amen. God bless you. Let's dare to dream once again.
Thank you so much for that beautiful prayer, Dr. Darcy. We come together with one heart. What a beautiful reminder that is. It's this heart that we share that really allows us to support one another, and what a gift that is. I want to take this moment to thank all of our supporters that allow the Council to continue programs like the one we're having today. I especially want to take this time to thank our many sponsors this year that made this program possible. I'm honored to say that a portion of the funds collected this year will be gifted to another great organization, the 100 Black Men of Long Beach, to help support the continuation of their work to improve the quality of life within our local communities through education, health and wellness, economic opportunities, and the provision of leadership and mentoring. Now let us now open with a captivating artistic piece from John West and the Valyermo Dancers, who remind us about the majesty and the grace of God, something that Dr. King believed in deeply. Now, in the tradition of the medieval guilds, the Valyermo Dancers draw their name and inspiration from the Benedictine monks of St. Andrew's Abbey in Valyermo, California. As a dance theater company, its mission is to the preservation and translation of biblical narrative and poetic traditions into contemporary dance. John West serves as the brilliant artistic director of this dance theater company. Following that, we'll have reflections from the youth in the Jewish, the Muslim, and the Christian faith traditions about what Dr. King means to them. And thereafter, we have a beautiful musical presentation by Arslan Ibrahim. Arslan's life was turned upside down one day with the purchase of a West African music CD. This marked the start of a long journey into deep connection with his ancestry and the lineage of storytelling. Today, Ibrahim is a Jeli of the Mandi tradition, using the musical instrument called the kora as the vehicle to pass on stories and support the bridge of knowledge between Africa and North America. So let's begin now by welcoming John West and the Valyermo Dancers.
Do you not notice? Do you not see? Not only the bow, but also the clouds are signs of God and harbingers of hope, like a dove released to never return.
Oh, my Lord, 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 Lord. Oh, my Lord, Lord, Lord.
Flood and ark, cloud and bow, darkness and light, death and life, the signs of hope are all about us, if only we see with eyes of faith.
Oh, my Lord, 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 Lord.
So do not wait for the bow to appear, but swiftly act when clouds fill the skies, for that too means God is near, and a world reborn about to arise.
This is the sign.
When disaster strikes, the helpers appear.
This is the sign.
When walls are built, the children rise up.
This is the sign.
When there is nowhere else to turn, a hand reaches out to lead the way.
This is the sign.
When daylight fades and darkness abounds, a lamp is lit to remind us all that we are never, ever alone.
Oh, my Lord, 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 Lord. Oh, my Lord, 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 Lord.
2 by 2 did God command that all creation enter the ark. And 1 year later, by God's good grace, did this small remnant replenish the world. For God did not promise that life would be easy, free from worry, storm, or fear. But God's covenant was simply this: I will be with you till the end of time, in the one by your side, the one whom you love, the one who walks with you before and behind, the people of God, born of an ark of justice that bends beyond sight, a people reborn of water and spirit, a love beyond reason, of undying light. Oh, my Lord, 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 Lord. Oh, my Lord, 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 Lord.
He packed in the animals 2 by 2, the ox, the camel, and the kangaroo. Packed them in the ark so tight, I couldn't get no sleep last night. Noah's son, Shem and him, telling about God's master plan.
Oh, my Lord, 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 Lord. Oh, my Lord, 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 Lord.
40 days and nights on the boat, nameless hope and guided float. Noah, his wife, and the boys, they prayed that God would fill the promise made. When the rain had stopped, they looked up high and saw that rainbow in the sky.
Oh, my Lord, 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 Lord. Oh, my Lord, 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 Lord.
The promise of tomorrow rings, lift us to our feet and sing. Words of wisdom guide us right, with his glory win the fight.
Oh, my Lord, 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 Lord. Oh, my Lord, 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 Lord.
When trials came, you saw us through. The promise of heaven we'll get to. There's hope when the water's high. Feeds our souls and hears our cry.
Oh, my Lord, 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 Lord. Oh, my Lord, 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 Lord.
the Lord.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had a vision. He dreamed that all children, all people could live together in peace and harmony with love and respect for one another. He dreamed that anyone could seek justice and find compassion in others who look, feel, or think differently.
As young people, we have the best possibility of bringing that dream to reality. If we can learn to work together, walk together hand in hand, and love each other, there is hope for the future of humankind.
Dr. King is one of history's greatest social activists, and he lives on today through the voices of young people like my fellow Jimkey members. Like Dr. King, we are working to better understand inequality in our communities. We are ready to raise our voices to call for and peacefully but persistently push for the beloved community as imagined by Dr. King. Most importantly, through understanding the challenges that one another communities have overcome, we can understand that, as Dr. King said, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that.
Even though Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. died over a generation ago, his legacy continues to impact and inspire teens like me even today. Before the Civil Rights Movement, many black people felt defeated and hopeless, but his advocacy gave people the belief that things could improve, and it gave people the motivation to make it happen. Despite setbacks, MLK never gave up, even after being jailed 29 times in an effort to shut him down. Although Dr. King and the Civil Rights Movement helped fix a lot of problems facing people of color in the 1960s, there are still so many issues in this country and around the world: inequality, poverty, food, housing insecurity, and threats to our and others' human rights. Dr. King refused to be defeated when opponents tried to stop him and encouraged thousands of other people to fight for their freedom. When everyone sat down, he stood up. We can honor his legacy today by marching forward together and continuing not only to dream, but to make the dream a reality.
Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream. He wanted everyone to live in harmony with love and respect for each other.
He dreamed that everyone could accept and find compassion for others, no matter how they look or what they believe.
Jimmy. As children, we can make this dream come true. If we learn to work together and love each other, there is hope for our future.
At a time when Mali was under the dominion of the French Empire, the tradition at which this instrument is a part of, the jalil, the jaliya, the work of the jali, had gone to sleep. But in time, the ingredients for change were in the wind. And one of the master Jali from the region of the Gambia had encountered the student movement in the capital, Bamako, of Mali. And he was so taken by their inspiration from Dr. King and their founding of the movement Qaeda, which was a nonviolent, peaceful resistance to French occupation. He began traveling around Mali, through Guinea, Senegal, Gambia, the Ivory Coast, and all the old regions that once belonged to the old empire of Mali before the French came and conquered the territory. He visited the small towns and villages, he and his wife, playing the music of Qaeda, the word peace, which was the name of their movement. With time, the movement began to grow and spread. Civil disobedience and protests were widespread, and the French government sought to do something about this problem, and so they arrested Siddiqui and his wife. The commandant of the prison woke one morning to find the horizon full of people coming toward the prison. People by the thousands had surrounded the prison, demanding the release of Siddiqui Jabate. And when they asked, what will make this crowd disperse, they said, if you do not release him, you will have to arrest us and imprison us all. And so the commandant went down and spoke to Siddiqui and said, describe to me, explain to me what it is this movement is that has brought about so much fervor and energy within the people. Siddiqui said, I cannot explain it to you without my kora. And so they retrieved his kora, and he began to play and sing the song of Qaeda. By the time he finished singing the song and telling the story of the movement, the commandant was weeping and resigned his post and joined their movement against the French forces. Siddiqui would do this a number of times. A great number of French officers began to defect. And this, along with other things, led to the French inability to hold on to the region. And the independence movement was successful.
The power of storytelling with music to keep history alive. That's truly amazing. Thank you so much for those beautiful artistic expressions and the wisdom that was shared by our youth. Now I'm elated now to introduce to you SCIC board member Michelle Dobson, who will introduce our keynote speaker, the newly elected mayor of Long Beach, who has made history himself as the first African-American mayor of the city, Mayor Rex Richardson.
Mayor Rex Richardson is a husband, father, and the 29th mayor of the city of Long Beach. In 2014, Mayor Richardson became the youngest person in history elected to the Long Beach City Council. In 2016, he was elected to a 2-year term as vice mayor, also the youngest in the city's history. He was then re-elected to the Long Beach City Council in 2018 and re-elected as vice mayor in 2020. In November of 2022, he broke barriers once again as both the first Black person and first resident of North Long Beach in history elected to serve as mayor of the city of Long Beach. Mayor Richardson's history in Long Beach is grounded in empowering communities to have a seat at the table. He believes that everyone, no matter their circumstance, deserves the opportunity to thrive. He works to change the culture of City Hall to be smarter, more inclusive, and more responsive to the needs of our communities, businesses, and families while ensuring an equitable future for all. Mayor Rex Richardson and his wife, Dr. Nina Richardson, are proudly raising their 2 young daughters, Alina and Mila, in the North Long Beach community. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Rex Richardson.
Hi, I'm Long Beach Mayor Rex Richardson. I want to thank the South Coast Interfaith Council for the tremendous opportunity to address you on this auspicious occasion. The annual recognition and celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s life and legacy is an opportunity for us to take an accounting and reflect on the progress that we've made toward achieving the dream and reaffirm our commitments to equality and justice. Personally, as a member of Dr. King's fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, I've always felt a deep connection to this day, and I've always found inspiration to continue to serve by thinking of Dr. King's legacy. I would not be the person that I am today without the legacy of Dr. King, but also all of those trailblazers and individuals, those voices, large and small, who contributed to the civil rights movement. I think of my own family, whose roots are down in Alabama. My mother, when she was just 7 years old, the age of my daughters, she was one of the first 5 students to integrate her elementary school down in Alabama. And she was encouraged to do so by her mom, who, when she was younger, she went out and protested Bull Connor, who wouldn't allow Black students to attend the University of Alabama. I think of the stories of my great-grandfather, who wanted to have some economic opportunity to build wealth and built a store in our community, a Black-owned store. That store was burned down by the Ku Klux Klan and a cross burned at the place of its foundation. Now, all of these stories help shape why it's important for us to understand where we've come and the work that we still need to do. And I've carried those stories with me as I moved to California from Alabama on a Greyhound bus when I was 11 years old to put down roots here in the great state of California. As Long Beach's first African-American mayor, my mayorship represents not only how far that we've come toward building a more inclusive city, but also the potential that we have to remedy deep and systemic disparities and opportunity across our city. When I say I would not be the person I am today, it's not a statement only about the color of my skin. It's about the approach to the work that we all take and the work that me and my colleagues take on that emanates from Dr. King's example. We need to all do our part to challenge the status quo in service to justice and equity in communities that have been long at the periphery of power and decision-making. We need to all recognize Dr. King's moral commitment to fighting for economic inclusion, workers' rights, dignified employment, values that I share and have guided my career since the very beginning as a young organizer for SEIU, fighting for better working conditions, to someone who fought to make city government more inclusive and more equitable, to someone who traveled the country to help elect Barack Obama as president, and now to serving as mayor of the city of Long Beach. We've learned from Dr. King's history of bringing all of our communities together, building alliances between civil rights, faith, labor, and peace movements. These movements and these communities are better and stronger when they work together and organize together because their struggles are linked and their prosperity is linked. Drawing on his faith and his values in a way that prioritizes empathy and caring for the poor and the hungry, the sick, the needy, the oppressed. That's the way we have to move forward, and not to the exclusion of our LGBTQ brothers and sisters and siblings, and those fighting for women or women's right to choose. And finally, the vision of King's dream, where we build a world where people are not judged by the color of their skin, but the content of the character, has been the driving value between much of the work that Long Beach has taken on in recent years. I'm proud that Long Beach is the first jurisdiction in Southern California, the first city to establish an Office of Equity. I'm also proud of how we stepped up and responded and took advantage of this aperture for equity in 2020 by establishing the Racial Equity and Reconciliation Initiative that really addresses historic context within our city and ensures that our city as an institution helps create pathways for opportunity and institutionalized equity for everyone. We're a city who's embracing universal basic income, an idea espoused by Dr. King himself. We're a city who has a race and history context statement, acknowledging our past of redlining and segregation and how that has led to segregation in much of our current times. Now, we are in what's considered the third Reconstruction in America. The first Reconstruction was really a period after the Civil War, when our country was divided and had to figure out how to come back together. Now, during that Reconstruction, there were a lot of decisions that were clumsy and difficult. So the second the second Reconstruction took place after the Civil Rights Movement, when things like Jim Crow were instituted after Reconstruction, and housing policies that were racist and discriminatory and other practices. That second Reconstruction really represented that complex package of legislation like the Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act, the Clean Air Act, that all took place in the 60s and the 70s to really have a new commitment to America. Now today, we're in the third Reconstruction because communities are asking for things like inclusion, better housing, economic opportunity. Think about the ways that their communities are policed, a shared vision and definition of community safety. All those decisions are made by local governments, mayors and city council members, sheriffs and DAs, school board members and superintendents. And so this Reconstruction is really about you, empowering the communities to get involved and help shape the inclusive communities of our future. Now, Dr. King may be gone, but the work is not done. His legacy continues in everyone who fights for a more just and equitable city. So in Long Beach, this weekend, we honor Dr. King's legacy at the Martin Luther King Day prayer service, at the Martin Luther King Day parade, and at other events and days of service. So let's also honor his legacy through the actions that we do moving forward. We're all going to have to do our part. We need to show our appreciation to those who serve us, like our public sector workers. Public sector workers are the people who step up and help serve our communities, and Dr. King died fighting alongside public service workers. These jobs are critical to reducing the income inequality gap for women and people of color. And we should maximize our public dollars by providing good wages and benefits for people who get up every day and deliver quality public services for Long Beach families. These are hardworking union members that we support, and we have to ensure that as we move forward and create an inclusive community, we think of our frontline workers. According to Dr. King, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? It's now up to all of us to answer this question in our own way, in the service of our communities, in the service of a better society. So again, thank you so much for the opportunity to join you, and let's continue to lift up and live Dr. King's example. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor, for your reflections and your inspirational words. I, like many others, no doubt, feel that you are an example of Dr. King's dreams coming to life. We thank you for your leadership, and we wish you continued success. Now, Dr. King's life and his words touched and continues to touch the hearts of so many, including people of all faiths. Today, we invite members of the Zoroastrian, the Buddhist, the Hindu, the Sikh, and the Jain faith traditions to share with us the powerful sentiments of Dr. King.
Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Quotation from Strength to Love, 1963.
I believe unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. This is why right, temporarily defeated, is stronger than evil triumphant. Nobel Peace Prize acceptance speech, Oslo, Norway, 1964.
Text taken from the Christmas sermon, Atlanta, Georgia, in 1967. If we are to have peace on earth, our loyalties must become ecumenical rather than sectional. Our loyalties must transcend our race, our tribe, our class, and our nation. And this means we must develop a world perspective. Thank you.
Make a career of humanity. Commit yourself to noble struggle for equal rights. You will make a better person of yourself, a greater nation of your country, and a finer world to live in. March for Integrated Schools, April 18, 1959.
Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. This was a letter sent by Martin Luther King Jr. from Birmingham, Alabama jail on April 16, 1963. We should all read this, understand this. It is so profound and nice to know. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Marietta Fong from Rolling Hills United Methodist Church, and I currently serve on the council. It's my privilege and great pleasure to tell you about this year's Legacy Award recipient. Los Angeles County Supervisor Janice Hahn inherited a passion for public service from her late father, Supervisor Kenneth Hahn, who held public office in Los Angeles County for 50 years and who left behind an incredible legacy of service. A few years ago, I had the honor of introducing Supervisor Hahn at a Woman of the Year event for an organization here in the South Bay. I then learned that her mother was also a powerful and inspirational presence in the community and in the family, and served as another wonderful model for her life and work. Supervisor Hahn followed in the footsteps of both parents, yet created her own path, one of service and integrity, dedication and compassion. Supervisor Hahn proudly represents the interests of the 4th District. She began her career as a teacher, served on the Los Angeles Charter Reform Commission and the City Council, representing the 15th District. After serving in local government, Supervisor Hahn was elected to Congress, first representing California's former 36th District and then the 44th District after redistricting. On the Board of Supervisors, she has advanced a people-first agenda and continued her lifelong dedication to lifting up working families. Through her many years of being involved in public office, Supervisor Hahn has embodied the principles lived by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and continues to work for equality and social justice for all. For this reason, and with great gratitude, we honor her today with the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Legacy Award.
Thank you so much to the South Coast Interfaith Council for giving me this award. Receiving the Dr. King Legacy Award is particularly special to me because, of course, my father, Supervisor Kenny Hahn, was the only elected official that had the courage to greet Dr. King when he first came to Los Angeles in the early 60s. And since then, our families have actually remained friends. You know, I'll probably never be able to live up to my dad's legacy or have as many accomplishments as he did. But when I look back at my life and my political career, I'm pretty sure that returning Bruce's Beach to the remaining heirs of Willa and Charles Bruce will be one of the most important and meaningful things that I have ever been involved in. So I appreciate the fact that you are acknowledging me for that great work, and I hope it serves as a model to others throughout this county that it's never too late to right a wrong. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Supervisor Hahn, on this well-deserved award. We're so grateful for your continued commitment to social justice and to the well-being of all in our collective community. Thank you for all that you do. As we move forward on the second half of our program today, I'm excited to introduce you to Dr. Anthony Lee and the Pacific Unitarian Church Choir. Dr. Anthony Lee is a retired professor of African American history who has taught most recently at UCLA and West LA College. As a poet, he has received numerous awards, including the prestigious Merton Institute's Poetry of the Sacred Award in 2012. He has since published, in collaboration with other poets, several volumes of poetry translation from Persian and Arabic, including the poems of Rumi. His most recent translation, the poems of Mirtaki Mir from Urdu, is forthcoming. Following Dr. Lee, we will have a very special musical presentation from the Pacific Unitarian Church Choir as we conclude the program today.
All right, this is a poem about Joseph, the story in the book of Genesis of the Joseph of the coat of many colors. And this is a story that is sacred to Jews and Christians because it's found in the Bible. It is also Joseph, this story that is retold in the Quran and is sacred to Muslims, and especially Sufi Muslims who find it important. It's also sacred to Baha'is who find this as a very important story in that tradition. So there are really four faith traditions that hold this story up as sacred. And of course, Joseph is a story about a slave. I mean, he was sold into slavery by his brothers, if you recall. And so it resonates with African American history as well, and my own heritage. And so a few years ago, I became captivated by this story, and I started writing poems about it, trying to capture it, and I wrote 12 or 13 poems. I never did quite finish, but this is the first of these poems, the story of Joseph. So I'll read it. My eyes are quite poor, so I'll try to get through it. And it's particularly difficult to read when I'm crying, which often happens when I read this poem. So you hope you will forgive me. Something about Joseph. The Muslims call it the best of stories. He is 17 and beautiful, a perfect form, sinless, immaculate. a fantasy lover swelling our desire, our sacrificed Lord, our resurrected Savior, forgiving us our sin. Damn, it is such a good story. How the Muslims tell it, Joseph was a slave in Egypt. He mounted the auction block like my grandfathers did, stripped and naked, his 17-year-old flesh exposed to every gaze, a muscled chest with arms like a woman's, the perfect curve of his buttocks, an adolescent eye, a chiseled Hebrew nose, lips dark ruby red. The slave market was all commotion then. Men and women held their breath. They pushed and jostled for a look. The bids rose higher, even higher. Fortunes were offered for Joseph of God. Through the riot, a bent hag elbowed her way to the front. Beggar woman in rags, she offered 3 pennies for Joseph's life. Crone, the master laughed. What will your 3 cents buy when the richest men in Egypt can't afford the price? This is life and salvation, sex and dreams, grace and immortality. You have lost all that. Go back to your corner and die. I will not die, she smiled and spat at her accuser. Forever on, when poets tell this story, they will remember me, my price, and say, she bid for Joseph on that fateful day. Let the Muslims tell it. Joseph was sold to Potiphar, knew the chains my grandfathers knew. Then a slave in Pharaoh's palace, and Israel starving. His brothers came, bowed low, and begged for food. He saved them with his labor, and they didn't know him, a slave. He sent them back and back again. They brought their father. White man, white man, white man, don't you recognize me? I am your brother, Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt. Our father blessed our children before he died. Now let us mourn for him. Throw ourselves down and weep together for our awful past. Judah, Simeon, Reuben, how much I love you. Benjamin, I love so much I cried. I wish I knew your other names so I could name them all.
We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall live in peace someday. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday, someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. We'll walk hand in hand, we'll walk hand in hand someday. Deep in my heart, I believe that we'll walk hand in hand someday. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall
We Shall Overcome, a powerful reminder to bring this program to an end. Thank you so much, Dr. Lee and the Pacific Unitarian Church Choir. I would now like to welcome Rabbi Rebecca Usman from Temple Menorah in Redondo Beach to offer the closing prayer.
This past Shabbat, Jews all over the world completed the public reading of the book of Genesis. We held the Torah high and chanted, Chazak, Chazak, v'nit chazek. From strength to strength, may we all be strengthened. This is not merely a symbolic gesture. We don't just close a book of the Torah and move on. We learn and relearn the lessons of the Torah through each cycle and allow ourselves to be inspired and re-inspired by its clear call for fairness and justice. In Pirkei Avot, we are told, Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, v'lo ata ben chorin livatel mimena. It is not your duty to finish the work, but neither are you free to desist from it. We're not expected to finish all of the work in the world, but neither are we allowed to walk away from our own small part in the pursuit. And so I'd like to share with you a blessing for the pursuit of social justice. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lirdof tzedek. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, who calls us to holiness through commandments and commands us to pursue justice. May the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. give us the courage and inspiration to continue the pursuit of justice and equity for all people. Amen.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Rebecca. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s belief in a dream of love, in a dream of justice and peace, changed our country, and one would argue the world. It is an absolute honor for this Interfaith Council to bring this interfaith community together annually to commemorate his life and his work, and observe this day as a day to celebrate him and his dreams. I want to thank the sponsors, the artists, the musicians, the faith leaders, the youth, Supervisor Han, and Mayor Rex Richardson for being a part of our program today. A special note of gratitude to the SCIC Board of Directors, and most importantly, to all of you who are with us today for joining us. Thank you for being with us today and daring to dream and keeping the legacy of Dr. King alive. We look forward to seeing you again for many of our upcoming programs and events, and until we meet again, continue to dare to dream. From our hearts to yours, thank you and good night.
Hold your head up high. Always reach for that sliver of light. Be grateful for each day, 'cause being together makes us better. All being together makes us better. Oh, oh, we're stronger this way. Oh, oh, together we grow stronger every day. Fill your cup with love. Always lead from the center of your heart. Lift each other up, 'cause being together makes us better. All being together makes us better. Oh, oh, we're stronger this way. Oh, oh, together we grow stronger every day. Reach out now, take someone's hand. Everything we have, 'cause being together makes us better. Being together makes us better. Oh, oh, we're stronger this way. Oh, oh, together we grow stronger. Together we grow stronger every day. Hold your head up high. Always reach for that sliver of light. Be grateful for each day, 'cause being together makes us better. All being together makes us better. Oh, oh, we're stronger this way. Oh, oh, together we grow stronger every day. Fill your cup with love. Always lead from the center of your heart. Lift each other up, 'cause being together makes us better. All being together makes us better. Oh, oh, we're stronger this way. Oh, oh, together we grow stronger every day. Reach out now, take someone's hand. Appreciate everything we have, 'cause being together makes us better. Being together makes us better. Oh, oh, we're stronger this way. Oh, oh, together we grow stronger. Together we grow stronger every day.